Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of What If Naruto was in Rosario Vampire. If you guys enjoy this What If, and want to see part 3 of it, comment down below, and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. And go ahead and check out other What Ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. What are you talking about? The question came from an apprehensive Naruto. He was currently standing in a room that was in an underground base that had once belonged to the Senju clan during the clan wars. Sitting in front of him behind a wooden desk were 3 of the Kage: the Hokage, the Kazekage, and the Raikage. It is as we have said, Naruto. Tsunade's voice was cold, something Naruto had gotten used to. With the way you can use Kage Bunshin, you're the perfect candidate for this. No, you're probably the only one who could actually come out of this alive. But why does this have to be done, Ba-chan? Naruto gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for the idea of me getting stronger, but I won't stand around as you let numerous shinobi go to their deaths just to buy me some time to train. To train? Tsunade's stoic and hardened expression didn't waver in the slightest. This can hardly be called training. What we're doing, Naruto, is compressing as much knowledge as we possibly can into you. I don't care what you call it. Naruto snapped, glaring straight into the Senju's eyes. Naruto, be reasonable. It was Gaara who spoke up this time. His face showed nothing, but Naruto could see the reluctance to do what he had to do in his eyes. This isn't something that we would like to do, but it is something that needs to be done. To have any chance against Uchiha Obito, we need to make you as strong as possible. He grunted. It's the best decision. That Uchiha is the Jinchuriki of the Jubi, probably the closest thing that could actually be called a god that's alive right now. We've been losing so many shinobi, because he has all of that power compressed into his body and his body alone. In order to counter that, we're going to compress as much knowledge and power into you as we possibly can in a short amount of time, by having you use your Kage Bunshins. Tsunade nodded in agreement and closed her eyes. Uzumaki Naruto, as your Hokage, I order you to go into hiding and learn as much as possible. You will not see your friends during your time in hiding. The only people you will see will be the ones who are compressing their knowledge into you. Hey, Naruto. Wait up. Tsukune called as he jogged up to his blonde friend. Said shinobi was walking along the same path to the school that most students took. Hey, Tsukune. Naruto greeted as the other human fell into step beside him, his breathing only slightly deeper than usual. So what's up? Well, I wanted to know how you know about chakra. It's not something that's common knowledge. I mean, I only learned about it yesterday, Tsukune said. Ever since he had heard about the energy that all humans supposedly had, he'd been enthralled and wanted to know more about it. How I know about chakra, huh? Naruto mused aloud. He didn't really know how to explain it to Tsukune. It's not like he could just bluntly say, oh, that's easy, I'm a ninja that's not from this world. Well, he didn't actually know if he was in a different world or not. For all he knew, he could be in a different timeline. Well, I guess I could try to explain some stuff to you, but I'm warning you now. Some of the things I'll tell you might not seem believable. Alright. Naruto sighed as he gathered the words together, and figured out the best way to explain it. I guess I should start by saying that I was raised in a place where knowing how to use chakra was the norm. Chakra was basically our way of life. Everything we did revolved around the energy that resides inside of us. Where did you get raised then? Tsukune asked, but frowned when Naruto shook his head. Another time, Tsukune. Where I grew up isn't exactly something I want to talk about, Naruto said. Especially not so soon after I disappeared from there. The black-haired boy sighed but nodded nonetheless. If he didn't want to talk about it, then he wouldn't push the subject. Fine, but what else can chakra do? You already told me that you were able to control the elements and call a meteor from space, even though that's still really hard to actually believe. There's too many things that you can actually do with chakra to name, Tsukune. I don't even know all of them, Naruto said before reaching into his pocket and bringing out a tri-pronged kunai. This is a kunai that my father created. What does it do? Tsukune asked as he examined the weapon that had kanji written on the hilt. Naruto's eyes glinted mischievously, and he wagged a finger. You'll have to wait and see. It wouldn't be any fun if I just told you. The blonde pocketed the kunai, while Tsukune sent him an annoyed look. You can't just go and show me something like that without telling me what it does. Tsukune huffed in annoyance. It's like you're holding it just out of my reach. That's what I was aiming for. Naruto grinned at his friend as they continued their trek towards the school. It wasn't long before the duo heard the awe-filled voices of other students. Oh, look at her, she's absolutely stunning. It's like she's surrounded by a bright light. She's so dazzling. She's definitely the academy's most beautiful girl. Naruto rolled his eyes while Tsukune just shook his head at their comments. The two kept walking towards the odd students before spotting their only other friend that went to their school, Akashi Moka. Morning Naruto-kun, Tsukune-kun. the vampire exclaimed cheerfully before latching onto Naruto's arm. That action alone sent the students surrounding them into a frenzy. Ah, who does that guy think he is getting held by Moka-san like that? What do those two think they're doing acting so close to Moka-san? Naruto, Tsukune and Moka ignored their shouts and cries as they made their way to the academy with Moka, having an iron grip on Naruto's arm the entire way. As they walked, they were blissfully unaware of a certain scowling succubus. Tsukune sighed as he walked around the school building looking for his two friends. They had been in different classes for the morning, so they had been separated, and it was why he was looking for them at the very moment. Ugh, even though the three of us explored the school yesterday, this place is still so confusing. Someone, help me. A weak but sweet voice called out, gaining the black-haired human's attention. He turned his head in the direction the voice came from, only for his face to start heating up at what he saw. Leaning up against one of the many dead-looking trees not too far away from him was a girl with light blue hair, which was tied back by a purple headband that had 2 stars on it, along with a pair of purple eyes. She wore a plain long-sleeved white shirt with a red bow tie, as well as a pale yellow-colored vest, leg warmers, and the usual skirt that the female students wore. The girl seemed to notice him, because her eyes locked straight onto his. Help me please, I just started to suddenly feel ill. Tsukune just stared at her for a few moments, silently admiring her good looks and large breasts, before shaking himself out of it and walking over to her. Can you stand up on your own? When she shook her head, he leaned down and slung her arm over his shoulder. I'll help you get to the infirmary. With his help, the girl was able to get to her feet, but she still leaned on him for support. Thank you very much, she said before letting out a small grunt. My chest, it just started to hurt all of a sudden. She pushed her large fleshy globes into Tsukune's chest, causing the poor human's face to go so red that it looked as if it was on fire. Hold me tight like this, because if you don't, my chest might burst. Teeth are so big and soft. He shook his head after he had that thought. Bad thoughts, Tsukune. Bad thoughts. Hey, Tsukune-kun. Can you look into my eyes for a moment? The human did so without a second thought, only for him to feel his heart skip a few beats. I'm Kurumu. Please be a good friend to me, okay? Wow, what beautiful eyes. Tsukune's arms went around Kurumu's waist and brought her closer to him. What the hell is going on? I don't have any control over my body. Naruto-kun. Naruto stopped walking down the hallway and turned around to see Moka running up to him. Hey, Moka-chan. Naruto greeted before he noticed her staring at him rather intently. Is something wrong? His words seemed to snap her back to reality, and she smiled at him. No, nothing's wrong. I was just wondering how you were able to stop Saizo's attacks the other day. I mean, your kind isn't known for being able to do something like that. I'll explain some other time, preferably when Tsukune is with us as well, so I don't have to repeat myself. Naruto said as he continued walking with the vampire falling into step beside him. Oh, alright then. Moka said, glad that he was actually planning on telling her at some point. So, where are we going, Naruto-kun? I was going to the headmaster's office. I need to have a talk with him about some things. Like why he invited me here, for one. Moka looked at him with some surprise. The headmaster invited you here. Naruto nodded as he stuffed his hands in his pockets. Yeah, after an incident in Tokyo that involved some yokai and myself. Tokyo? She furrowed her brows slightly. What happened in Tokyo? There's some yokai attacking the hospital I was in, nothing to worry about. He gave her a casual smile, hoping that she wouldn't go any deeper into the subject. He didn't want to try and explain that he wasn't exactly from the area when he himself didn't know all the details. She frowned at his casual dismissal of whatever happened in Tokyo, but didn't press the matter. The duo continued their walk to the headmaster's office in a comfortable silence, ignoring the stares that they received from the opposite sex, as well as the occasional ones that Moka got from other females. Luckily, they didn't have to put up with them for long as they reached the door to the headmaster's office not long after. Naruto grabbed a hold of the handle and opened the door, before gesturing inside with his hand. Ladies first. She gave him an amused look as she stepped inside the room. My, such a gentleman. Yeah, well, it was either become one, or get pummeled into the ground by Sakura and Ba-chan. Naruto suppressed a wince at the memory of the two of them teaching him, before he followed the vampire into the headmaster's dimly lit room. You should have knocked first. The two looked at the cloaked man with glowing eyes, and an eerie grin that was sitting behind the desk. Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. You should have told me this was a school for yokai. Instead of getting annoyed like Naruto had expected, the headmaster's grin seemed to whiten slightly. Well, if you're here for what I think you are, then it would be best if Akashiya-san wasn't here. Why is that? Naruto crossed his arms with a frown on his face, an expression that was mirrored by Moka. There's some things that are going to be said in this room that I'd prefer to keep a secret. Naruto sighed before turning to Moka, but before he could say anything, said vampire spoke up with a slight smile on her face. It's alright, Naruto-kun. I'll just go and try to find Tsukune-kun. Naruto nodded and Moka left the room. He didn't actually mind Moka finding out about anything, but if the headmaster wanted to keep it a secret, then he'd go with it. For now at least. Well, the headmaster started as he nodded to the only chair in the room other than his own, a plain wooden seat with 4 legs that looked extremely uncomfortable. Sit down and you can start asking away, but keep in mind that I won't be able to answer everything. Naruto took the seat and stared straight into the headmaster's glowing eyes. First of all, how did a bus driver know that I was different from other humans? I told him. Naruto felt his eye twitch at the short and curt answer. Then how did you know? A massive surge of, what did the bus driver say you called it? Ah, that's it, chakra. Anyway, a massive surge of this chakra isn't something that I wouldn't notice. I wouldn't be surprised if there was others that felt it as well. The headmaster said and Naruto nodded. Actually, that surge of chakra was so massive that I'm sure even that perverted otaku felt it all the way in China. Alright. Then why did you invite me to this school? There's 2 reasons for that, actually. The headmaster's right hand came up and he showed Naruto 2 fingers. It was almost as if he was explaining things to a child. The first reason is, as I told you in the note, to keep you away from the government. The second reason is because of the reason this school was created in the first place. Coexistence with humans. Naruto frowned in slight confusion. Why do you need me for that? The headmaster wagged his finger, something the blonde remembered doing to Tsukune earlier that morning. You can find that out another time. It wouldn't be any fun if I just told you. Naruto twitched at getting a taste of his own medicine, while Kurama just snorted in amusement. Fine, then do you know how I got into this world or timeline, or whatever you want to call it? Not a clue. Was the flat and blunt answer he received. Is there anything else? Naruto wasn't that surprised with the answer he got. He hadn't been expecting much, but he had to try, right? He was silent for a few moments before he sighed. I want you to give me at least basic knowledge of this world. Moka was leaning against the wall in one of the many hallways that were in Yokai Academy. She searched for Tsukune, but the human was nowhere to be found. To add to her downbeat mood, Naruto still hadn't returned from the headmaster's office, so she was left on her own with just her thoughts. Hey, pay attention to what's going on around you. You're being targeted. Moka let out a small yelp as she heard the voice come from seemingly nowhere. Who said that? Hey, you're a vampire, right? Moka looked up at where the voice came from, and saw a girl with light blue hair sitting on the railing to the stairs. At least that's what the rumors say, Akashi Moka-san. Who are you? The girl smirked before she jumped off of the railing to land on the floor in front of Moka, causing her large mounds to jiggle, something that the male students in the hallway openly and shamelessly stared at. She ignored the perverted comments that came from the males, and instead stalked up to the vampire until she was right next to her. I'm the succubus Kurumu. I have come to defeat you. Wait a minute, isn't it against the school rules to give away your true form? Moka asked apprehensively. Kurumu let out a small huff as she pointed at Moka in an accusing manner, completely ignoring her question. I can't stand it anymore. You're the biggest eyesore in the way of my great plan. Your plan? The succubus nodded, crossed her arms and closed her eyes. Yes, my plan to transform every boy in this academy into my slave. The Yokai Academy harem transformation plan. Along with everyone else in the hallway, Moka just stared at Kurumu with her mouth half open, not really knowing what to say. My plan was perfect. I should have had every guy at the academy a slave to my beauty right from the start. However, she got right up into Moka's personal space with a scowl. But then you came along and all the guys started dreaming about you instead of me. I'm not letting you get away with this. I refuse to lose in a battle of feminine charm. Before Kurumu could continue with her speech, a voice spoke up. What's going on? The 2 girls as well as everyone else who had been watching Moka and Kurumu's one-sided argument turned their heads towards the owner of the voice to see Naruto walking over to them with an arched eyebrow. Oh look, Naruto-kun's here. The smile on Kurumu's face was a little too sweet for Moka's liking. Do I know you? Naruto asked as he stopped beside Moka. Not exactly, but my name's Kurumu. The smile on the brunette's face became slightly wider. Could you do something for me? Depends on what it is. Just look into my eyes. Naruto did so, and as soon as he did, he felt his face become warm as his heart skipped a few beats. Kurama silently groaned in annoyance as he witnessed this. You're losing your touch, you damn brat. The Biju sent out a small burst of his chakra, and easily broke his partner out of Kurumu's control. Naruto blinked as his face lost the blush it had gained, while his heartbeat returned to normal. Thanks, Kurama. Kurama just grunted in acknowledgement as he closed his eyes and tried to get some sleep. At least he had something to hold over the blonde for a while though. Was something supposed to happen? Kurumu felt her face heat up in embarrassment as she heard Naruto's deadpan tone. Did my charm not work? No, I could have sworn that I had him under control, which means that he broke through it somehow. Normally, Naruto would have told Kurumu that illusions or anything similar were all but useless on him, so that she wouldn't try it again, but he found her flustered state to be amusing, so he just let it be. Moka-san, Naruto-san. Once again, everyone in the hallway turned their heads in the direction of the voice to see Tsukune running up to them. Kurumu-san's here too. Hey, Tsukune. Naruto greeted casually as Moka just smiled and gave the boy a nod in greeting. How do you know Kurumu-san, by the way? I found her after class when I was looking for the two of you. Tsukune sent a glance to the succubus. She said she was feeling ill, so I took her to the infirmary. Ah, Tsukune-kun, you were so nice and gentle when you helped me earlier. Kurumu cried as she latched onto the human with her large breasts pressing up against his chest, something that made his face heat up immensely. Would you be so kind as to look me in the eyes, Tsukune-kun? Tsukune obeyed the succubus and looked her straight in the eyes, and much like earlier, he felt his face heat up as his heart skipped a few beats. It's happening again. When I look into Kurumu-san's eyes, I just get this dizzy feeling. Tsukune, step away from her. She's using some sort of illusion to control your actions. Naruto said, sending an annoyed look to the succubus who just stuck her tongue out at him. Oh really? Tsukune drawled in a flat monotone. His face was blank, and his eyes had taken on a dull look. How do I know that you just want me to step away, so you can get closer to Kurumu-chan? You stupid blonde. Naruto gained a rather large and throbbing tick mark on his head. Fine, don't step away from her then. See if I care. Naruto huffed, crossed his arms and looked away, an annoyed scowl coming onto his face. Moka had heard what Naruto had said about Kurumu using some sort of illusion to control Tsukune, so she stepped in when it looked like her blonde friend wasn't going to say anything more. Please listen to Naruto-kun, Tsukune-kun. She's controlling you. Tsukune's voice remained monotone. Why would you care whether or not Kurumu-chan's controlling me? After all, I'm not the one you use as food, Naruto is. Moka reeled back as she been struck with her eyes wide, and tears building up in the corners of them. Wah. But I don't use Naruto-kun as food, and I care because you're my friend, Tsukune-kun. Why am I saying all these mean things to Naruto-san and Moka-san? Tsukune questioned himself, but could do nothing but watch as his own body wrapped an arm around Kurumu's waist before turning around. Forget it, Akashi-san. I don't believe you. Naruto sighed as Tsukune and Kurumu started walking away from him, and Moka before he turned around, and placed a hand on the vampire's shoulder, causing her to look at him with teary eyes. We'll set Tsukune straight later. Moka nodded and sniffled slightly as she and Naruto disappeared from everyone's view, leaving only a few leaves in their place. I did it. I finally did it. Kurumu cheered inside her mind with anime tears running down her face and her tail wagging behind her. She and Tsukune were in the infirmary as it was the closest place Kurumu could find that had a free bed and was empty. Tsukune was sitting on a chair next to the bed that Kurumu was sitting on. Yahoo. That pitiful face she made is one I'm not going to forget soon. Tsukune's head was down and he had a frown on his face. I wonder why I said those mean things to Naruto-san and Moka-san. His frown deepened. I'll have to make sure to apologize to them both. Tsukune-kun. Said human's head came up, only for it to be smashed in between Kurumu's breasts. What the hell am I supposed to do now? Tsukune internally cried as his face became as red as it possibly could. You're sad, aren't you, Tsukune-kun? Don't worry, Kurumu will help you feel better. Naruto and Moka were sitting on the roof of the school with their legs dangling over the edge. Moka had a thoughtful frown on her face while Naruto just sat there silently, waiting for Moka to speak up when she was ready. He didn't have to wait long. Hey, Naruto-kun, you don't think I'd just use you for your blood, do you? Naruto spared her a glance before shaking his head. No, I don't think that, Moka-chan. Besides, I don't actually mind you sucking my blood. Really? She asked tentatively, playing with the hem of her skirt. You really don't mind when I suck your blood? Before Naruto could reply, the rosary around Moka's neck began to rattle around while a red, slitted pupil made itself known and Moka yelped when she heard the same voice from before. If you're done talking, then I should probably tell you that Aono is in danger. The rosary is speaking. Moka muttered in shock, while Naruto gave her a weird look, having not been able to hear the voice. Yes, I'm speaking. The voice trolled. The best way to explain would be to say that I'm another you. I'm just using the rosary as a medium to communicate with you from deep within your psyche. Oh, okay. She mumbled before remembering what was said before. Wait, you said that Tsukune-kun was in danger. He's currently with the succubus, is he not? The voice asked rhetorically. Anyway, that succubus was using a technique called charm to control not only Aono's actions, but also his words. Wait, then that mean? Yes, Aono wasn't willingly saying those things to you, Uzumaki. But that's not the reason he's in danger. He's in danger because one kiss from a succubus will doom him to be that succubus's slave for eternity. With its piece said, the rosary once again went silent as the slitted pupil disappeared. Moka-chan, are you alright? You were speaking to yourself. The vampire blinked and became aware that Naruto was staring straight into her eyes. She blushed and looked away from his intense blue eyes that currently held concern. I'm fine, but we need to go find Tsukune-kun. He's in danger. Huh? What do you mean he's in danger? Kurumu-sen is a succubus. Seeing an arched eyebrow from the blonde, she continued. When a succubus kisses someone, that someone becomes their slave for eternity. Well, that can't be good. To say Tsukune's face was red would be an understatement. The thing might as well have been on fire as far as the human was concerned. The reason was the position he was currently in with a certain succubus. Kurumu smiled sweetly at Tsukune, who was laying down on his back on the bed, while she hovered over him on her hands and knees. Kurumu-san. Tsukune muttered, not really knowing whether to just lean forwards and kiss the girl, or to try and leave. What is with me? Whenever I look into Kurumu-san's eyes I just start spacing out. Kurumu's face started to get closer to Tsukune's own. Even my heart has started to race, but with this kiss the charm spell will be complete. She thought as their faces were inches apart. With this kiss, I'll turn Tsukune into my slave, and start getting back at Akashi Moka. However, just before their lips met, Kurumu let out a yelp as her eyes widened when she felt someone pull on her leg until she was held dangling upside down. She blinked and looked around, only to find out that Naruto was holding her in the air by her ankle. You know. Naruto drawled as he held the succubus's ankle, while said girl moved her hands to her skirt in an attempt to cover her exposed panties. It's not nice to force someone into being your slave. Put me down right now. Kurumu yelled as her face heated up in embarrassment. Tsukune just stared at what was happening in front of him in bewilderment. One moment he had a beautiful girl with large breasts basically crawling all over him, then the next he finds the same girl being held in the air by the ankle, courtesy of his blonde friend. Naruto-san, what are you doing? I'm saving you. Naruto replied as he started to move his hand from side to side, causing the succubus's body to follow. Hey. Stop ignoring me. I said put me down. Naruto looked down into Kurumu's eyes. Are you sure you want to get down? When his reply was a glare, he shrugged and let go of her ankle, causing her to hit the ground head first. Tsukune's sweat dropped as Kurumu started to let out several curse words while getting up. The succubus patted down her uniform before she sent Naruto a death glare, while her nails extended into claws and wings sprouted from her back. I said put me down, not drop me on my head. She hissed. Naruto shrugged. You still got down, didn't you? Kurumu snarled before slashing at him with her claws. However, before they could reach him, she felt something crash into the side of her body that sent her flying out of the nearby window. Kaya. Moka huffed as her arms went back down to her side, having had them up to push Kurumu out the window with her vampire strength. Naruto whistled slightly at the sight. Would you look at that? You sent her flying with just a shove. Moka blushed at the compliment, while Tsukune didn't look as surprised as he probably should have been. Hey, what are you two doing here anyway? Saving you. Naruto said simply, repeating what he'd said earlier, as if it was all that needed to be said. By dangling a girl upside down, and dropping said girl on her head, came Tsukune's deadpan, sarcastic and rhetorical question. Naruto huffed while Moka smiled in amusement before she decided to explain. Tsukune-kun, Kurumu-sen is a succubus, and one kiss from a succubus can turn a male into their slave for eternity. Tsukune stared at the two of them with a completely blank face for a few moments as his mind processed what Moka had said. Slowly, his jaw started to lower as his expression turned from blank to disbelief. You mean that I would have been Kurumu-sen's slave? You hit. Naruto nodded and crossed his arms. If you knew that, then why did you let me go with Kurumu-sen in the first place? Tsukune asked as he shook off his disbelief and tried to remind himself that he was in a school for yokai. We didn't know that a succubus could do that when you left with her. Naruto admitted with a shrug of his shoulders. Before Tsukune could say anything, they all heard the flapping of wings and a familiar voice. I can't believe I was thrown so far. I guess a vampire's strength really is something else. But that doesn't matter, come out here so I can kill all three of you. The three simultaneously turned their heads in the direction the voice came from to see an enraged Kurumu just outside the window with her wings flapping behind her. Naruto sighed before turning to the resident vampire. Moka-chan, do you know why Kurumu-sen's doing this? Moka's eyebrows furrowed together slightly. Well, she did say earlier that she wanted to defeat me because I was getting the way of her Yokai Academy harem transformation plan. I don't think I even want to know. Stop ignoring me. Kurumu seethed as she flew through the window, and once again slashed her claws at Naruto, only to have a foot firmly planted in her stomach, and once again get blown outside, only this time she went out a different window and shattered that one too. I really can't fight well in enclosed areas. Kurumu thought as she placed a hand on her stomach where Naruto had kicked her while trying to steady herself in the air. Alright, well I guess I'll take care of Kurumu-sen then. Naruto muttered as he made his way over to one of the broken windows with a yawn. Wait, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned around just as he was at the window to look at the vampire who had a frown on her face. What is it, Moka-chan? Take my rosary off. She placed a hand on said object. If Kurumu-san really thinks that I'm in the way of her plan, then this whole thing is probably my fault. It's not your fault, Moka-chan. Naruto said with a frown, but the vampire stood firm. Fine, if you feel so strongly about it. He sighed before grabbing the rosary and taking it off with a quick flick of his wrist. Much like the night before, Moka was once again enveloped in a bright flash of light. When it died down, Moka was still standing there. Only she had silver hair, red, slitted eyes, exposed fangs and a much sterner expression. What is this? Kurumu thought as the now silver-haired vampire jumped out of the window and landed on the ground. Her pink hair turned silver, and her eyes changed. There's so much power coming from her as well. Is this the real power of a vampire? She had a shiver when she noticed Moka's cold glare turn on her. Uzumaki. Moka called out, gaining Naruto's attention as she looked back up at the window he was looking out of. I know that my other half told you to take the rosary off, but I still expect a payment after this. Payment? Naruto muttered to himself as Tsukune made his way to his side and watched out of the same window. Your blood, obviously. I guess Moka-san still likes your blood even if she isn't sealed, Naruto-san. The human said and Naruto hummed in agreement. Kurumu scowled at the vampire. Humph. Don't go saying things like after this is, there won't be such a thing for you since you'll die here. Moka matched her expression thanks to the succubus, having the gall to actually think that she could kill her. A succubus seek a destined one from among the men we tempt. In order to keep our species from dying out, we must carefully pick just one man out of many to be our destined one. She likes speaking, doesn't she? Naruto remarked while Tsukune shook his head and sighed at his friend's comment. You're getting in the way of me finding my destined one, Akashi Moka. Kurumu launched herself at Moka with her claws ready to slice the vampire to ribbons. You won't get away with that no matter what. So what are you going to do? A smirk made its way onto Moka's face. You can't let me do this, so you dare bare your fangs, that the likes of me. She chuckled without any amusement. You frail egotistical woman, know your place. Kurumu snarled before she swiped her claws at the vampire, but Moka was already behind her, with her tail held firmly in the vampire's hands. You're too slow, I thought that you were going to kill me. Moka taunted before swinging the succubus over her shoulder and slamming her into the ground with enough force to create a large crater. Now why don't I tear off that tail and rip those wings of yours off so that you can never fly again? I should probably put a stop to this, otherwise Moka-chan's going to cripple her. Naruto mused aloud before placing a hand on Tsukune's shoulder and disappearing, leaving only a few swirling leaves in their place. As soon as they reappeared, Tsukune stumbled slightly before taking in his surroundings. Deciding to ask what the hell Naruto had done later, he started to run straight towards Moka and Kurumu. Something that caused the blonde to arch an eyebrow at as he casually walked over with his hands in his pockets. Kurumu's eyes widened in horror as Moka stalked towards her with the intent on going through with her threat. I'll make sure you can never stand up to me ever again. The succubus whimpered slightly as the vampire got closer and closer to her. However, just as Moka was about to grab a hold of one of Kurumu's wings, a hand grasped the silver-haired woman's wrist. Admittedly, it wasn't a very firm grip, and was one that Moka could have broken out of without even trying, but it was enough to make her stop and glare at the one who had dared to touch her. What do you think you're doing, Aono? She hissed dangerously at the boy who looked slightly green. You've done enough, Moka-san. Tsukune said as he blinked a few times, trying to regain his bearings. Wasn't this the same girl that just tried to enslave you and threatened to kill you just before? Growing annoyed with the human touching her wrist, she yanked it away. Yes, it was. But I don't think that Kurumu-san was doing out of purely bad intentions. Tsukune smiled slightly while Kurumu's eyes were wide open in surprise. I just can't imagine Kurumu-san being a bad girl at heart. So, don't hurt her, Moka-san. You think that you can order me around? Moka growled before aiming a kick to the side of his ribs. She wasn't going to kill him, of course. Her other side considered him to be a friend. But she wouldn't stand for being ordered around. Her pride wouldn't let her. So she just showed the human his place. Tsukune's eyes widened in shock as Moka's leg came sailing towards him, and yet, all he could do was watch. He needn't have to do anything tough, for when Moka's leg got within a few inches of his ribs, a hand grasped the limb and stopped it in its tracks. Naruto sighed as he held onto Moka's leg, while chakra ran through his own arm. I probably shouldn't make a habit out of grabbing girls' legs. Naruto mused before looking into Moka's currently red and slitted eyes. Can you not try to kill Tsukune, Moka-chan? I wasn't going to kill him, just show him that he can't order me around. That's why I didn't put much effort into it. The vampire replied before her eyes narrowed at him. Let go of my leg. Now he's ordering her around. Naruto shot back with a small grin that made the vampire twitch before he released her limb. My payment. Naruto rolled his eyes, before he tilted his head to the side, and the vampire eagerly dug her fangs into his exposed neck, before she started to drain him of his life force. What? The rosary just started talking to you. And it was Kurumu-san that was controlling what I was saying. Moka nodded as she, Naruto and Tsukune, who had asked the question, walked to the school. Yeah, this time the voice ended up saving us, but it's really strange. The seal has never done that before. Maybe it's a sign that the seal is weakening. That could be the case. Naruto agreed, remembering back to before he and Kurama had become partners, when the former was able to call on more of the latter's chakra, when the seal was weakening. Hey, Naruto-kun, if it comes to the point where the seal doesn't work anymore, would you still like me? Moka asked shyly as she stopped walking. The other two noticed, and stopped as well. Of course I would. Naruto's response was immediate, and there was no signs of hesitation in his voice. I'm sure Tsukune thinks the same, right? Yeah, I do. Moka smiled brightly at her two friends when she heard their words. Thank you. She mumbled as she stared into Naruto's eyes, seemingly getting lost in them as Naruto stared back into hers. Tsukune turned away from the scene, silently trying to convince himself that he wasn't a third wheel. Good morning. A loud and cheerful voice exclaimed, effectively drawing everyone's attention to where it came from to see Kurumu holding some sort of small box. Kurumu-san, what are you doing here? Tsukune asked as the succubus seemed to stare straight into his eyes, while a small blush came onto her face. Well, I made some cookies for you, Tsukune-kun. Kurumu chirped as she handed the human the small box that she'd been holding. I was hoping that we'd be able to eat them together. Oh, thanks Kurumu-san, but why me? The black-haired human asked as he took the box from her. Her small blush seemed to glow brighter. Oh, remember when I said I was searching for my destined one? Tsukune nodded to show that he remembered. Well, I've decided that it would be you, Tsukune-kun. Tsukune's jaw dropped open in shock, while Naruto's eyebrows shot up into his hairline, an action that Moka mirrored. Why me? Oh, Tsukune-kun. Kurumu sighed in an almost blissful way as she placed her hands on her cheeks. This should be obvious. Despite Moka being really scary yesterday, you still risked your life to protect me by stopping her. In response, Tsukune did the only thing he could think of. He ran. Wait, Tsukune-kun. We have to eat those cookies together. Kurumu shouted as she ran after he destined one. Wow, I didn't think that Kurumu-san could actually blush like that. Moka muttered as she and Naruto started to walk towards the academy again. She seemed so cold and arrogant yesterday. People change. Naruto shrugged before sending a smile to the vampire. It looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more of Kurumu-san though. Moka nodded her head in agreement, not really knowing how to act around the succubus seeing as she tried to kill her yesterday. It seems that way. Naruto groaned as he sat cross-legged in the underground training ground. He placed a hand on his forehead and started to rub it in an effort to get rid of the migraine that he had gained. It had been 5 days since he'd started getting information compressed into him. It wasn't pretty. Sure, during those 5 days he'd eaten what was probably the healthiest food he had access to, but he barely slept at all. He was constantly up, constantly swallowing food pills to replenish his energy, and he was constantly having to rely on Kurama's chakra in order to keep his clones active. His eyes were only half open as he stared at the man he had more respect for than any other shinobi apart from Jiraiya himself. His own father, the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Minato's arm was still missing from when Obito had ripped it off. He discarded his usual white cloak that had red flames at the bottom, and instead was just wearing the uniform for usual Konoha Jonin. Concentrate, Naruto. Minato ordered with a sigh. But, Two-san. He groaned once again and slumped onto his back. I've barely slept these past 5 days, 3 hours to be exact. You can't possibly expect me to be able to actually concentrate on complex seals with that little sleep. Yes, I can, actually. The Yondaime countered as he glanced around to see hundreds of Naruto and his own clones doing the same thing, only with different types of seals. Look around you, you clones are doing just fine. They don't feel my physical stress. Naruto retorted without missing a beat. You don't do much physical movement when it comes to seals, it's more of a mental thing. Whatever. Naruto grumbled before sighing, and sitting back up. Naruto, said Jinchuriki's head whipped up at the serious tone of voice his father was using. It's not just the lack of sleep that's getting to you, is it? Naruto looked away with a frown before he sighed again. There's things on my mind. Like what? Like how I'm once again being hidden from an enemy. Naruto said as his frown turned into a scowl, obviously not happy with what he'd been ordered to do. Yes, you are being hidden again. Minato agreed, having already heard about the giant turtle that Naruto was on with the Raikage's brother. But this time it's not to keep you out of the enemy's reach, this time it's so you can train and be ready for your next encounter. Don't you mean compressing? Naruto shot back and Minato's lips twitched upwards slightly. It doesn't matter what you call it, the point is that you need to get as strong as you possibly can in a short amount of time. Complaining about it won't help you either. Minato reached into his weapons pouch that was at the bottom of his back. Tell you what, if you manage to learn all these seals today, then I'll teach you another of my jutsu. Naruto arched an eyebrow as his father slowly and deliberately brought his arm back in front of him to reveal a tri-pronged kunai, something that made Naruto gain a grin. Are you serious? Seeing his father nod, Naruto's grin widened. Alright. I guess I'll learn the seals today then. Minato gave a similar, albeit smaller grin, as he saw his only child's energy come back from the dead. That's the spirit. Well then, everyone, this academy's goal is to train yokai, to adapt to human society, just as I've been saying all along. So that means, starting today you're all going to take up club activities. Naruto was sitting in his usual seat for homeroom with Tsukune next to him and Moka behind him. His elbow was on the desk in front of him, while his chin was rested in his palm with a bored expression on his face, something that the blonde had during most of the classes he attended. Though he did gain some interest in what Nakaname was saying when she had mentioned club activities. He'd never heard of such a thing before, so he was actually looking forward to whatever it was. It didn't seem Tsukune was in the same mindset though. Club activities. At a school for yokai. The black-haired human gulped slightly. What kind of weird stuff are they going to have at this place that counts as an activity? Naruto internally sighed and rolled his eyes without even bothering to look at the other human. He could feel Tsukune's anxiousness through his negative emotion sensing ability that he had thanks to Kurama. Tsukune really needs to relax more. Constantly freaking out like he does can't possibly be healthy. If you feel the need to comment on it, then do something about him freaking out as you put it. Kurama suddenly spoke up. And what do you expect me to be able to do? He already knows that I won't let anyone hurt him. Naruto pointed out. I'm sure he does know that, but that's not the problem. Kurama shuffled around on his spot and rested his chin on his human-like hand. It's easy to tell what he needs, really. Almighty and all-knowing Kurama-sama, please indulge me with your infinite wisdom in what my human friend needs. Naruto drawled with a roll of his eyes. Kurama ignored his obvious sarcasm. Self-confidence. How can I give him something like that? You can't. The Biju replied bluntly, but continued before Naruto could interrupt. You can't give someone confidence in themselves, you can only help them get it. And how do I do that? You can teach him how to fight and use chakra, for one. Naruto glanced at Tsukune out of the corner of his eyes to see the human still seemed apprehensive. That's a good idea, but he has so little chakra. If I was to train him I'd have to do something like that to boost his chakra reserves, and we both know how much that can hurt. True, that would hurt him physically and mentally, but it would also stop you from complaining about him freaking out. I wasn't complaining. Naruto huffed, getting a weird look from Tsukune who had been able to calm himself down. Why do you care about Tsukune so much, anyway? I don't, but you seem to have gotten attached to him and the vampire. Maybe you're just getting soft. He pointedly ignored the indignant grunt. Sensei. Naruto's eyes went from the front of the class, where he had been staring blankly while speaking to Kurama over to a student who had his hand raised. What is it? Wouldn't that give you an F in that case, sensei? The student pointed out as his index finger was directly aimed at the tail that was showing under Nakaname's skirt. Nakaname let out a roar that sounded more like an angry meow, as she suddenly appeared in front of the student and started to claw at his face. Naruto's sweat dropped at the sight before shaking his head and sighing. I must have missed some of Nakaname-sensei's speech or something, Kurama, I blame you for this. The Biju deliberately ignored him. Naruto's eye twitched. Anyway, everyone has to participate in club activities. Nakaname announced, ignoring the student who was crying comically with scratches all over his face. So please visit many different groups and decide on which one you want to join, and be sure to check out the newspaper club that I'm the advisor for. Dismissed. Naruto got up out of his chair as did everyone else in the room, before looking behind him to where Moka usually sat to see the vampire standing, and actually looking excited. Are you ready, Naruto-kun, Tsukune-kun? Naruto nodded at the excited vampire with a smile. Yeah, it should be interesting. Well then let's go. Moka cheered as she grabbed both boys' arms in an iron grip, and hauled them out the door. Naruto didn't seem bothered by the grip on his arm. Tsukune though winced slightly at the grip the girl had on his arm, but didn't comment on it. Moka-san sure has a lot of strength. How the hell are we supposed to move through that? Naruto muttered as he took in the sight of what had become the corridors of Yokai Academy. There was stands, signs and students everywhere. So much so that Naruto couldn't even see the ground without seeing 3 other students' shoes. You know, I have no clue, but it's kind of amazing, really. Tsukune remarked. Yeah, it is. Moka agreed as she let go of both boys' arms, much to the black-haired human's relief. So do either of you have any ideas for what club we should join? Tsukune hummed slightly in thought, while Naruto just kept looking around with some curiosity etched on his face. An idea popped into Tsukune's head, but he forcefully pushed it away with a small blush on his face. I don't know, Moka-san. Tsukune finally said after a small silence. Naruto hadn't suggested anything because he didn't know what clubs there could be. We'll just have to look around and try to find something that all of us like. Moka nodded her head as all 3 of them started to push their way through the crowd of students to look for a suitable club to join. Unfortunately, everyone tending the stand seemed to take a liking to Moka, and on multiple occasions, Tsukune had to calm the blonde down enough so he didn't massacre everyone that was in that club. Though he did let Naruto kick that one creepy guy that asked Moka to do nude pictures through a wall. Naruto huffed and stuffed his hands in his pockets as he finished glaring an entire club into submission. You know, if you keep giving everyone that tries to get Moka-san into their club that look, there isn't going to be any clubs left. Tsukune commented with some amusement as he watched his friend twitch. Moka was walking in front of them with her hands behind her back, oblivious to both the stares she received and the 2 humans' conversation. Naruto grumbled slightly as he gained control of his twitch. I'm not going to do that to every club I see, just the ones I can sense ill intent towards Moka-chan coming from. You can sense someone's intentions? Tsukune asked in surprise. No, not someone's intentions. Naruto said with a shake of his head. I can sense negative emotions. So someone with positive intentions won't show up for me, but someone who intends to do something negative will. That's handy. The brown-eyed human noted. Before Naruto could continue the conversation, he was interrupted by a woman's voice. Hello boys, I'm the swimming club captain and the second year here at Yokai Academy, Ichinis Tamao. Would the two of you like to join me for a swim? The two boys as well as Moka, who had stopped walking in front and was now standing next to them, looked over to see a woman with turquoise-colored hair and yellow eyes. The woman was wearing a white long-sleeve button-up shirt that was left open to reveal a two-piece swimsuit, and she also had sandals on her feet and a hand on her left hip. Behind Tamao were a few other girls from the swimming club also wearing two-piece swimsuits, and they were waving to all of the other males in the vicinity, while said males shouted about how they wanted to join the club. Naruto shrugged, not really caring. He didn't really have a need to swim, nor even learn how to, he could just simply walk across water. Besides that, swimming didn't interest him anyway, not as an activity at least. But, what is this I can feel coming from her? It's hard to describe, it almost feels like she's hungry, but not for food. Tsukune on the other hand seemed to be interested in the club. Whether that was because of all the women wearing swimsuits or not, Naruto would never know. Naruto-san, Moka-san, I'm going to try the club for a while, you two don't have to if you don't want to though. Well, what about you, Naruto-kun? Tamao all but heard his name, something that caused Moka to get a small twitch in her eye. Nah, I'm fine. Naruto replied with a casual smile as he glanced at an obviously uncomfortable Moka, as Tamao frowned slightly. Swimming doesn't interest me much, sorry. Oh come on, you won't know until you at least try it. Tamao's frown turned into a small grin as the girls that were behind her all but pounced on the ninja and started ripping his clothes off. It was an almost comical sight as the girls forcefully changed Naruto into a pair of swimming shorts, with his limbs flailing about the entire time. Tsukune's sweat dropped at the display, while Moka blushed and tried not to stare at the blonde who was now standing in his previous spot in just a pair of black swimming shorts. Naruto wrapped his arms around himself and shivered slightly. I feel violated. Tsukune's sweat drop grew in size before Tamao pointed to the human who was still wearing the academy uniform. Girls, get him. Tsukune yelped as the girls that had forcefully changed Naruto without actually damaging his clothes turned their sights on him, with their eyes gleaming before they pounced on him. It was Naruto and Moka's turn to sweat drop this time as the girls repeated what they did to the blonde to the now spluttering and cursing human. The girls moved away from Tsukune who was now wearing similar shorts to Naruto, while said human inched towards the shinobi, otherwise known as the safe zone. I know what you feel, Naruto-san. Well, playtime's over. Naruto sighed before grabbing his clothes that had been stacked in a neat pile on the floor. Do you still want to stay, Tsukune? Yeah, I'll still give it a shot, even if they are a bit forceful. Tsukune mumbled and Naruto snorted at the understatement. Oh. Tomato pouted at the blonde, and crossed her arms under her breasts, pushing them up slightly. You really sure don't want to swim, Naruto-kun? I'm sure, Tamao-senpai. Naruto replied as he placed a hand on Moka's shoulder. I guess we'll see you later, Tsukune. The black-haired human nodded and waved to his two friends as they both disappeared, leaving several swirling leaves in their place. What was that? Tamao asked but got a shrug from Tsukune, so she latched onto his arm with a smile on her face. Oh well, let's forget about them. Let's get to swimming already. Tsukune blushed as his arm was held in between Tamao's cleavage as she dragged him towards the swimming pool, oblivious to the glares he was getting from other students around him. No one even noticed the slight shimmer of light that came from around the corner. Naruto and Moka reappeared inside of Naruto's dorm room with a few leaves swirling around them. Moka looked around the room in confusion, not knowing where they were. The room had a dark gray carpet with plain, white walls. The futon was in the corner of the room with a wardrobe a few feet away from it. On the other side of the room was a small kitchen with wooden floorboards, while near it was a white closed door. Naruto-kun, where are we? Moka asked as she tried to get rid of the slightly dizzy feeling she had. We're in my room. Naruto replied nonchalantly as he walked up to his wardrobe and grabbed a new set of school clothes out of it. Why are we here? The vampire asked nervously. I need a new set of clothes to wear, these ones. He gestured to the academy's attire that he had been wearing earlier before he threw them on his futon. Just feel dirty, I'll have to thoroughly wash them later. She sweat dropped at the weird reason but didn't comment on it. Anyway, make yourself at home while I go get dressed. Moka nodded as Naruto went through the door that was near the kitchen. The vampire stood in the same spot for a few moments, not really knowing what to do. I'm in Naruto-kun's room. She thought as her face started to heat up at the realization before she decided to take a seat on his futon and wait for him. I kinda thought that his room would be messy, but it's not. Naruto came out of the room he had been in a minute later wearing the usual attire for males at Yokai Academy, blazer and all. Alright, there. Now I just have to remember to wash those. The blonde cast a distasteful glance towards the clothes that had all been ripped off of him by the forceful girls, before he turned back to the vampire with a smile. Well, anyway, are you ready to search for a club again? The vampire nodded as she got off of his feuding, and he placed a hand on her shoulder before the both of them once again disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Dude, did you hear? Apparently Moka-san is joining the swimming club. What? Really? Yeah, everyone's saying that Tamao-senpai invited her and her 2 friends to join. 2 of Moka-san's friends. Wouldn't they be the 2 guys who are always with her? The 2 students who had been walking down the hallway and talking to each other started grumbling and cursing the 2 humans with some rather colorful language. A certain succubus happened to be walking down the same hallway in the opposite direction of the students, and she overheard what they had said. Moka-san is joining the swimming club with 2 friends. That must mean that Tsukune is joining the club as well. Kurumu smiled as she added a little spring to her step before she stopped with a confused frown appearing on her face. I didn't think the vampires were able to even touch water though. Tsukune gulped slightly with a blush on his face, while Tamao was behind him holding his arms and showing him how to use them to get more speed while swimming. He could literally feel her impressive breasts pushing up against his back as she instructed him, a fact that made his blush all the worse. Yeah, just like that. Tamao praised as she guided his arms in the right position. You're doing great, Tsukune-kun. It's really heating up here. Tsukune thought in a slight daze. Alright, Tsukune-kun. How about going for a few laps around the pool? Tamao suggested with what seemed to be a sweet smile, getting a nod out of the human as he started to swim with his senior next to him. Tamao-senpai really has a mature charm, doesn't she? A student off to the side remarked as he kicked his feet under the water to stay afloat with his friends around him. Forget that, I want to know where Moka-sen is. I'd heard that she was joining this club. One of the other students said. You really shouldn't listen to rumors, you know. Ah, shut up. The student grumbled, before glaring at the form of Tsukune who was still swimming alongside Tamao. Anyway, I really feel like killing that guy and that bastard Naruto as well for hanging out with Moka-sen. The students around him mumbled in agreement, while Tsukune started to sweat slightly at what they had said. I really wish my safe zone was here right now. Naruto sneezed as he stopped walking through the hallway that he and Moka had been going through on their search for a club to join. Some bastard must be talking about me. He grumbled, getting a weird look from the vampire. Come on Naruto-kun, don't stop now, we still have to find a club we can all join. Moka puffed her cheeks out in slight annoyance and crossed her arms. Yeah, I know. Sorry, Moka-chan. Naruto said as the 2 started walking again. I don't know if Tsukune will join the club that we do though, he seemed to be interested in the swimming club. The pin cat hummed in agreement. Yeah, he did seem interested, but that's alright. If he joins the swimming club, then at least the 2 of us will still be together. Naruto nodded his head as his eyes scanned around the hallway for a suitable club to join, oblivious to the blush that had come upon the vampire's face, as the word together reverberated through her mind. Naruto-kun, Moka-san. The 2 teens who had their names called out stopped walking and turned around to see their homeroom teacher, Nakaname, approaching them with a smile on her face. Hey, Nakaname-sensei. Moka greeted with a smile while Naruto sent a nod to the teacher. What is it? Well, I was just wondering if either of you 2 had found a club to join yet. Naruto and Moka shared a glance before Naruto spoke up. No, we haven't yet, sensei, but we're looking for one right now. Nakaname smiled brightly at the tad bit of information, as her tone became more cheerful than before. Great. Then how about the 2 of you join the newspaper club? Aren't you the advisor for that club, sensei? Naruto inquired as he vaguely remembered her mentioning something like that in homeroom earlier that day. Nakaname nodded her head with her smile still in place. Yep, sure am. Naruto hummed slightly in thought as he mulled it over. On one hand, the club sounded perfect for gathering information, something that he admitted would be useful in his skill for yokai. On the other hand, if he guessed correctly, then the newspaper club was more than likely boring, and something that he wouldn't be very interested in. I don't know, sensei. We'll have to think about it, and speak to Tsukune as well as Kurumu-san, I suppose. Naruto said after a short silence. That's fine, I didn't expect you to come to a decision straight away. Nakaname waved off, her smile not faltering in the slightest. She had 2 potential candidates for the club, for she included Tsukune and Kurumu, so she was happy. Anyway, I need to get back to my duties. I just asked because I saw you walking down the hallway. Okay, we'll see you another time then, Nakaname-sensei. Moka waved to their homeroom teacher as that woman walked away from them. She turned back to Naruto, only to find the blonde had frozen in his spot with a frown on his face. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Naruto didn't reply vocally, instead he just placed a hand on the middle of her back. At first Moka thought he was going to use the same high-speed movement technique that he'd been using recently, but it was different this time. Instead of disappearing with a sudden immense speed, she found herself literally being teleported from her spot without a trace. Tsukune frowned as he rested against the side of the swimming pool he was in. He had told Tamao that he was taking a short break to gain some energy back, but in all reality he felt his interest in the club deterring. It just wasn't what he'd hoped it would be. Maybe it would have been better if Naruto-san and Moka-san were here. He thought before noticing the swimming club captain making her way over to him. "Come on Tsukune-kun, you should be well rested by now," the woman stated with a smile. Tsukune scratched at his cheek with his right index finger before he bowed to the captain slightly. "I'm sorry about this, senpai, but I think it's about time that I leave to go and find my friends." Tamao's smile whitened slightly, but instead of being a sweet smile, it was a cruel smile, and one that radiated a certain hunger. "Well then let me apologize myself, Tsukune-kun." Her hand slowly reached out towards Tsukune's cheek, and it became webbed while her face split into a grin, revealing her now jagged teeth that were in 3 rows. "Because I'm going to have to drain you of your life source." Tsukune recoiled away from the captain and used his hands to push himself away from her, with his eyes wide open in shock. Before he could even form any words in his mouth, he heard a panicked shout come from the other side of the pool, followed by many others. "Stop it. Why are you suddenly coming after me, senpai?" Tsukune looked around the pool for where the shouts had come from to see the one of male students who had been mumbling threats about him being chased by girls with a similar face to what Tamao's had turned into with tails behind them. The girls easily caught up to the student they were chasing and bit into him, causing him to age rapidly until he was nothing but an old man. "What the hell is this?" Tsukune exclaimed. His heartbeat was racing as he stared in shock at what had happened, before Tamao's voice reached his ears once again. "This is what we mermaids do." An orange tail similar to the other ones appeared behind her from out of the water. "We lure men into the water and suck their life away. It's our natural way of life. So don't think too badly of us, Tsukune-kun." She dived into the water as Tsukune tried to get as far away from her as possible, before she launched upwards into the air, revealing her entire body. "It's wonderful, don't you think?" The other mermaids, Tsukune thought in a panic as the other mermaids in the pool had large smiles on their faces, as they chased the other students, with the intention of sucking their life force to nearly nothing. "Don't worry, we won't drain you of your entire life force." A mermaid cried cheerfully with a hungry grin as she and the others chased a group of students who were doing their best to get away. "Yeah, you don't have to worry, besides it's useless to resist us," another exclaimed with an equally hungry grin. "Are mermaids really this scary?" Tsukune gulped as he quickened his pace to the edge of the pool. I'm really gonna be killed here." Before the human could reach his destination, 2 arms wrapped around his neck from behind, while 2 breasts pushed up against his back. "There's no need for you to panic, Tsukune-kun." Tamao purred into his ear as she tightened her grip around him slightly. "You're special, you see. I've actually had my eyes on both you and Naruto-kun since the entrance ceremony." Her webbed hand came up and caressed the petrified human's cheek. "You two have such a yummy smell, it's just like a human's." Tsukune was frozen in the spot as Tamao opened her mouth as if she was ready to eat his entire body. "I've always wanted to eat one of you." Tamao's mouth went to devour the human, but just before the mermaid's mouth could latch onto Tsukune, a fist appeared out of nowhere and smashed straight into Tamao's face and sent her away from him. "I really can't have just a single normal day, can I?" Tsukune looked up with surprise and relief clearly on his face as he saw Naruto standing on the water with a tri-pronged kunai held firmly in his right hand. "Naruto-san," Tsukune exclaimed. "Wait a minute, how the hell are you doing that?" Naruto turned his head around to glance at his friend and saw his fellow human looking straight towards his feet that were keeping him on the water. "Now's not exactly the time to be explaining things like that, Tsukune," Naruto remarked dryly before turning his head back around to face Tamao and the other mermaids who had finished with the others. "Just get out of the pool and let me handle this." Tsukune nodded frantically, glad that his friend had come for him as he swam the rest of the way to the edge of the pool to get out. "Oh, it seems you've come to join us, Naruto-kun." Tamao grinned that same hungry grin that the other mermaids mirrored with ease as she ignored the place where she had been hit. "But what do you intend to do? Surely you don't mean to fight us, mermaids are invincible in water, after all." Naruto shrugged nonchalantly as he pocketed the tri-pronged kunai. "I've fought people who thought themselves to be invincible before, so you're probably not much different." "Is that so?" Tamao and the other mermaids started swimming towards him at a fast pace. "Then prove it." Naruto waited patiently on the water's surface as the mermaids got closer and closer to him. It seemed that Tamao was the faster out of the mermaids as she was the first one to get close to the blonde. She lunged out of the water straight at him. But Naruto simply moved out of the way and grabbed her tail with one hand before spinning her around and using her as a pseudo-bat to hit all of the other mermaids that had lunged at him moments later away. Tsukune's mouth opened and closed in bewilderment at the sight. He's just toying with them as if they're not even worth his time. The black-haired human realized as he witnessed the shinobi basically play baseball with mermaids, while a casual, if not bored expression was firmly planted on his face. Kurumu, who was standing beside the human, had her eyebrows and her hairline from surprise, while mirth was easily seen in her eyes. Moka stood beside Kurumu and was just as surprised as the succubus, but rather than be amused at what she was seeing, she was more fascinated and amazed at how easily he dealt with supposedly invincible foes. You know, I thought this school was going to actually be dangerous for you. Kurama commented with an amused smirk that showed off his giant and glistening teeth, just as his partner batted another mermaid away with his senior's body. Well, you never know, this place could actually get dangerous. Naruto responded, gripping Tamao's tail a bit firmer. She was absolutely powerless in this situation. Water was right next to her, and yet she couldn't even touch it. Moka-chan, or the other Moka-chan at least, had a large amount of, what did the creepy headmaster call it? Yuki. Yeah, she had a lot of it from what I was able to sense when she was released, so it's safe to say that there's a lot stronger people out there than what I've faced so far. The blonde sighed as he smashed Tamao's body into the last mermaid, and sent it flying out of the pool area. Alright, time to finish this up, Tamao-senpai. What are you going to do? She asked apprehensively as she attempted to get rid of the sick feeling that she had. Nothing you need to worry about, all you need to know is that you'll still be alive after this. Naruto replied nonchalantly before jumping high into the air. Alright senpai, please try not to vomit on this ride and remember to keep your seatbelt on at all times. Naruto chuckled to himself, before he began to spin Tamao's body in midair. Ah, forget that last comment, this ride doesn't have any seatbelts. Sorry, but passenger safety isn't exactly on my mind right now. Naruto stopped his light chuckles and let go of his senior's body, before landing a hard kick in her face that sent her rocketing towards the pool. Tamao's unconscious body collided with the water, sending a large amount of the crystal clear liquid out of the pool and drenching Tsukune, while Moka and Kurumu managed to only get slightly wet, since they had jumped back. The perfectly dry Naruto landed at the edge of the pool and looked around before nodding to himself in satisfaction, as he saw all of the mermaids were unconscious, and probably wouldn't be getting up anytime soon. Naruto-kun. The shinobi turned around to see a half-smiling half-wincing Moka running up to him. Hey Moka-chan, what's wrong? Naruto asked in concern as the vampire stopped in front of him, while Tsukune and Kurumu made their way up to them, with the latter latched onto the former's arm. It's nothing to worry about, it's just that water zaps away a vampire's strength. But don't worry, it doesn't hurt that much since I didn't get a lot of water on me. Naruto frowned at a reply before he grabbed a nearby towel, and started drying off the water that had gotten onto her body, much to the Pinkette's embarrassment. I do worry though, Moka-chan. Naruto said as he continued his task. If I had have known that water did that to vampires, then I wouldn't have thrown Tamao-senpai into the pool like that. So, I'm sorry. It's fine, like I said, I didn't get that much water on me, so it doesn't hurt that much. Moka said as the pain from having water touching her body slowly faded away. There. All the water is gone. Naruto threw the towel away before he noticed the succubus that seemed to have an iron grip on Tsukune's arm. Kurumu-san. When did you get here? Ah, just after you started fighting those mermaids, Naruto-kun. Kurumu replied with a smile as Moka leaned into Naruto's side. Despite not having had much water on her, it still took her energy away, and she was feeling tired. I heard that Moka-san and two friends had been invited to join this club, so I thought I'd come over to see my destined one. Naruto nodded at the succubus's answer as he wrapped an arm around Moka's shoulder to keep her steady, while Tsukune decided to ask what was on his mind. How did you know that I was in danger? It can't have possibly been a coincidence that you were here, just when I was being attacked by those mermaids. I told you earlier today that I could sense negative emotions, Tsukune. Naruto said with a shrug, not wanting to tell the human that he'd actually created a clone, while said clone had used the Maisugakure no Jutsu to hide its presence, and used the Hiraishin to teleport him there. I just sensed fear coming from this area so I came as soon as possible. Tsukune seemed to accept the answer, so he asked another question. Well, have Moka-san and you found a club to join yet, Naruto-san? Well, I suppose you could say that. Naruto admitted, gaining an inquisitive look from the human. Moka-chan and I were going to speak to you and Kurumu-san about it first though. The succubus and human nodded and Naruto took it as a signal to keep forming words with his mouth. It's the newspaper club that Nakaname-sensei is the advisor for. It doesn't matter what club I join, so long as Tsukune is in it I'm fine. Kurumu said cheerfully as she shifted the arm she was latched onto in between her cleavage, causing said human's face to get set aflame, much to Naruto's amusement. We can go and speak to Nakaname-sensei about it tomorrow. Naruto glanced at the vampire that was leaning on him with half-opened eyes. I should probably get Moka-chan to her room so that she can rest. That water seems to have taken more energy out of her than she'd like to admit. Tsukune and Kurumu nodded in agreement as Naruto disappeared with leaves falling around where he once was. It's actually kinda cool, how he can disappear like that. Kurumu commented. Yeah, but it's a completely different story when he does that to you. Tsukune forcefully pushed the memories of him vomiting on multiple occasions when Naruto had used that technique on him. Though, Naruto-san did say that you can get used to it. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.